October 16th, 12 p.m. Would you please stand and join me in pledge allegiance to the flag? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, Bev?
Nelson? Knapp?
Yes.
Rexico?
Yes.
Goodchild?
Yes.
Wade?
Yes. Motion to approve the agenda. Second.
Motion made and second to approve the agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. I'd like to welcome everybody in the council this afternoon in the chamber. And I see Beverly made it. Particularly you people that are watching over television at home. So welcome aboard. Okay, today is general discussion. The way we handle our general discussion is that we ask you to come to the podium, state your name and address, and the council is always willing to listen to any concerns, complaints, or compliments that you have, but they do not make a decision on them, but they're always willing to listen. So I'm asking if anybody has any concerns or anything today, to come step forward. Hearing you're seeing none, we'll move on. Thumbs up award, John.
Nothing.
Steve?
Thumbs up to all the patients of our farmers who have been waiting patiently to get out in their fields. Now everybody be careful once they get out.
Thank you. Rex?
Yeah, I got one. Since this might be Mr. Donald's last time to show up for the council meeting, I want to thank him for everything he's done for the hospital. I'm sure we'll do it formally later, but as a council meeting, he's done one heck of a job.
I'd like to second that, and not only for the hospital, but Mike's been a very, very instrumental individual in regard to the city of Lamar's and many things and committees that he's been on. So congratulations. Ken?
I'll pass today, thank you.
Okay, moving on to the consent items. All items listed on the consent agenda will be enacted by one motion. There'll be no separate discussion on these items unless a request is made prior to the time the council votes on the motion. Today we have 4 of them. Approval on October 2nd, 2018 regular meeting minutes. Number 2 is a list of the bills for period ending 10/12 of 18. And number 3 is the September 2018 monthly financial statement. Number 4 is the Powder Players Snowmobile Club request. Does any council members want to pull any of these before we vote?
Motion to approve consent items 1 through 4.
Second.
Motion made and second to approve the consent items 1 through 4. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Moving on to the action items. Just a minute, bear with me here. Okay, Floyd Valley Hospital Audit Report. Neiman Company, LLP, will be at the council meeting to present the Lamar's Floyd Valley Hospital Audit Report for the year ended June 30th, 2018. I believe all of you council members have got a copy of the report. It looks good. And there's the gentleman himself, Mike Dollins.
Thanks, everybody. The Floyd Valley Hospital Board of Trustees met this morning, as is our custom when we have this on your agenda for noon, and received their presentation of the hospital's audit. It was the highlight of our meeting, as I'm sure it's the highlight of yours. But another thing that occurred at our meeting this morning was they were able to approve a replacement administrator for Floyd Valley Healthcare. And we'll have a press release prepared this afternoon, Bev, to get
Okay.
out once he's emailing some input for it. The gentleman's name is Dustin Wright. He's currently administrator at Marshalltown in the Unity Point system. He's got experience in 3 or 4 other hospitals. Bachelor's degree is from There's a big college in the east part of the state, Iowa City, I believe. And then his master's in healthcare administration is from the University of Missouri. He'll start on December 10th. And what other trivia is there? Oh, and he grew up on a farm outside of Primgar. So there'll be opportunity as he comes to visit and work out housing and stuff in the meantime to introduce him to the community. He intends to come to our annual fall fundraiser on November 10th, Saturday, November 10th, which I'm sure you're all planning to join us for, over at the convention center. But I want to just share those nuggets of information before I introduce Jim Henshin from Denman to give you a summary of a summary of a summary of this year's performance at Floyd. Now, thank you.
Come on, Jim.
Sitting ovation.
We went through it in detail with the board today, but just to summarize, on the audit opinion on the report is a clean opinion or an unmodified opinion, which means the financial statements are fairly stated in all material respects with generally accepted accounting principles. As you probably look through the report, the building project's complete, and the hospital is starting to pay down the debt. Cash and investments and total assets pretty consistent with the prior year. You're still in a good position, balance sheet or net position wise. You did have a positive bottom line. The volumes were up for the year. Days were up. Some activity in some of the departments were up as well. And as you probably look through the debt service coverage is a good number. It's over 3. I think the bonds require 1.25, so it's a good number for the hospital. So with that, I'll be glad to answer any questions you might have. So how does their revenue and expenses and percentage allocation compare with other hospitals you look at for write-offs and? I've had a couple. It's pretty consistent with a hospital this size. Okay. We've had some hospitals that have struggled a little bit because of volumes, but they had a good year. They kept their volumes up, patient days are up. So, and again, their balance sheet or net position, their cash and investments maintain a good balance. And the hospital doing this self-insured basically for their employees, does that seem to work out for them?
Yes.
They have that adequate. They have an adequate reserve allowed on their financial statements for that. And you got Darryl watching all that stuff, right? Yeah. Darryl is watching all that stuff. And he's gonna stay around, right, Darryl? You're not going nowhere, right? Okay. I think it's a good deal.
Any other questions? If not, very good report.
Good, thank you.
Very kindly, and appreciate you coming.
Make a motion to
Thanks.
accept the Floyd Valley Hospital annual report.
Second.
Motion made and second to accept the Floyd Valley Hospital report. Do we have a roll call on that? No, just a motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay. Got them all?
Yep.
All right.
We're all done?
Well done. He's waiting.
You knew I had to do something, you just didn't know what it was.
Yeah, I was looking for him to interrupt.
He wants something, he doesn't want to
Okay.
interrupt.
Yeah, I know. Okay, the next item is D2 under the action item. It's by the Fire and Rescue Department position. Fire Chief Dave Shipper, everybody knows him, is proposing adding the position of a fire battalion chief to the Lamar's Fire Rescue Department. This position will be a full-time, non-bargaining position. The individual will be third in command after the fire chief and assistant fire chief, and will work as a special operations officer for the department. The Public Safety Committee met on Monday, October 8th, and is recommending the position. The financial impact of the position is a full-time position was budgeted this past year for the year of fiscal year 19 budget at $80,133 as salaries and benefits. The department has generated revenue from the Confined Space Rescue Program to help offset the cost. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Fire Chief Shipper, and has anybody got any questions for Dave?
Are we gonna, is he gonna continue to do the confined, he or she continue to do the confined space rescue program?
Absolutely. Currently, we've been bringing in revenue towards that program. There's still a lot more to go and get. This person will be in charge of helping finish that out. We've come to the point where these contracts that we currently have, we're gonna have to start doing some training for these industry people in-house this fall or this winter. So it's gonna behoove us to have this guy on board to help with that training and get to know those folks, especially our local ones that have bought into the program. And then also give us the opportunity, including myself, to go into Sioux County and some of those other places to offer the program to those folks as well.
Any other questions for Dave?
How is the promoting of that going?
Out of the 14 in town, 13 have bought in, one did not. And now we also have had our first basically go around or meeting or talks with Diamond Vogel in Orange City, also Siouxland Energy, the ethanol plant in Sioux Center, and I should be in the next couple weeks having a meeting with Central Valley Ag, which would be the elevators in Hinton and Akron and Owens and those. So there's a lot out there to capture yet, Clark, and get. But as far as locally, pretty much everybody has committed or is committing and going to pay up their part and get involved in this program. That I just want to remind you folks is dictated by OSHA, that they have a designated rescue team. It's not something we're throwing at them. This is an OSHA requirement for those facilities to have a designated team. We offer that service. Otherwise, they have to provide the service on their own or find somebody else to contract with to do it.
What's the biggest questions you get, Dave, when you address an account that's looking at us?
Well, some of the questions we get is, do we have to do this? And we show them the law and what the OSHA requirement is. Some of the other questions they have as far as, if they're local, they pay taxes and things like that, and doesn't our tax money cover this? And what I tell them is this is a specialty program that is required by your business. And it's something that we offer because we have so many facilities in town that need it. We're not just the fire department. We're more so the Lamar's rescue department, and every so often a fire with all the different type of rescue situations we do. 99% of that equipment, Mayor, that we use on those calls, we don't use at a fire. We don't use at our local residences or homeowners. So what we've asked them to do is help contribute to the program to maintain the training, the equipment, the staffing, to perform that function for them that they're being required by the federal government to do. So a lot of times it's just getting to know what we have, our capabilities, what our equipment is, what our needs are. And most of those places, 90% of them or better, are not going to be able to provide their own team. They have people that can go into a confined space, meaning into a boiler and work on it, or into a train car, or into a semi-truck, or into a manhole, or into some kind of pit. But they don't have the plethora of people and the rescue equipment that if something goes wrong while they're in there, whether it be a heart attack, a broken leg, to get them out. And that's where we come in with this stuff. But as I've told the facilities, I have a tough time in my own mind justifying taking donations from people for protecting their homes from a fire or something and using it towards this equipment when it's such specialty stuff that these businesses or industries need. They need to help contribute towards that. And so far, so good. As I said, everybody's pretty well bought in town, and now we're starting to branch out into other communities as well.
How big a circle are you gonna draw? Because you and I originally talked, and
Right.
I mean, I don't want to see us up in Orange City at Diamond Vogel helping them with a rescue when something's burning down here.
Well, what we did, Clark, was we did 30 miles, and the understanding with the other fire departments is we've already been covering them anyway. So right now, if there is one, and Diamond Vogel's in contract at Orange City Fire would call us from mutual aid, we'd go up and help them. They're only going to get about 6 people. That's the rescue team that actually makes the entry to save somebody.
That other fire department is going to show up, they're gonna have to run incident command, they're gonna have to man ropes and pulleys and that sort of stuff. Our people we're sending in will be the trained experts to go in to do the rescue. So we won't be sending the whole fire department from Lamar's to Orange City or over to Akron. They would get a small crew so that our community is still protected for any other type of emergency.
I don't wanna do your math for you, but does Lamar's residents, do they get a break versus, outlining community Hinton?
What we're
Orange
looking,
City?
what we're looking at is if we can bring enough revenue in from the outskirts, you're exactly right. Then as this program continues, we will cut a break to our local people because they are local and they do pay taxes and they do live and work here. But initially, until we see what we have to fund the program, everybody's on the same playing field, but you are exactly right. Hopefully in the future, we can go back to our local entities and say, hey, we're gonna cut you a break of $500 or whatever it is because we've got these other facilities buying in that are gonna pay a little more in the future if they want us to do it because of the time and the travel and things like that.
And then
Exactly right.
My last one is, I think at budget time it was discussed that you were 50-50 on this. How are you sitting on that $80,000 50-50 mark?
We'll be about, I was going after the salary part, which was the 50,000. I'll have about 25 of that by January, and then hopefully as we continue on, you know, my goal is to come to the council and say, you provide the benefit, I'll provide the salary. So we're doing really well with that. There's some that have committed that I haven't got the check in hand yet, but they're coming. So I'm hoping by January we'll be around the 25,000 mark. If you so approve this today, we would start interviews next month, application next month, interviews in December, then put that person on in January, and hopefully have the revenue for half of the salary, which basically is gonna cover January to July. Now, I must say, the part-time position you offered me has been helping out immensely, and Ethan's here today. Stand up, Ethan. Ethan's the one who took the part-time position. Thank you, sir. It's been good. The problem we've had is we're having so many calls that what Ethan's getting done is extricate people out of wrecked cars and things because we got to answer calls yet while we're trying to do this program. And our calls are up so much that we haven't had a chance to get this program totally as far along as I wanted as fast. And now we've got these other people on board where we're gonna have to start doing some training for their folks and stuff.
Okay.
So the part-time thing is out of the volunteer budget, and what I did was I took an officer pay, if you remember, from a captain spot that retired, and I just basically took that officer pay, and that's how we paid Ethan his part-time wages, and we didn't have to do the full-time salaries or mess with salaries or amend the budget or anything. So Ethan's basically paid all the way through July to be the part-time guy, and then we'll see how budget goes next year if I keep the part-time wage, which is basically a captain's pay that we've had for 5-6 years anyway. But we'll see how this goes. If the calls keep going the way they are, you know, the staffing levels is the tough part during the day. And then with this program, if we do send 6 to Orange City or 6 to Akron, my main first goal is to cover our community first.
Right.
So we gotta make sure we maintain that too. So it's gonna be a trial thing, and we'll see how things go.
That's my main concern, is that we don't lose coverage at home.
Right. And we do that currently now with rural calls, where if we go out 10 miles west of town on a farm fire, we always try to make sure we have a crew here, or if we have a minimal amount of people, that's when Orange City comes down,
Sure.
to mutual aid, and they sit here to help protect our community.
Sure.
And we go up there and do the same thing, because we just don't have enough people anymore. All you people in service clubs and everything else know how that's going with trying to get recruitment and retention for groups, whether it be Kiwanis or Rotary or the women's club I talked to this morning. And now we have a group that's a group that you're required to do training and all this extra stuff. It's getting tougher and tougher all the time.
So I'm understanding this will replace the part-time position.
It will not right now. We'll have to
Right.
look at it again in July, John, to see if that does. I've always had that officer position in there, that captain pay, that I just called special ops pay, and that's how we're paying the position that Ethan filled right now. We'll see how this plays out in the long run. This is a totally separate salary line item that falls in with my assistant and my salary line item compared to the volunteer one. What I'm hoping is to offset the new position full of wage, and that you'll let me keep the part-timer, but we'll see how things go by July. that'll be something I have to iron out next budget cycle.
I had a question, Dave, when you go outside here and address new accounts or prospective accounts, and I'm sure they've said, well, our fire department will take care of this. What's their reaction when they find out that the local fire department is really not able to take care of it?
A couple of things just that we've dealt with on a couple of them was they didn't understand the OSHA rule. They thought they could just call their local fire chief and say, hey, we're going in a hole, and that covered them. Well, that doesn't work. You have to have the team and the equipment and the training. So the nice thing is we have such a good relationship with our local fire departments. I had a county fire chief meeting in Plymouth County. They were all on board to having Lamar's come in and help. I had a meeting with the chief in Orange City and the chief in Sioux Center, and they were all on board. So they're actually helping sell it to their facilities, and the fact that they can't do it, it's tough enough for them to train just to, so to speak, put the wet stuff on the red stuff for fires, let alone if you only have, say, 1 or 2 facilities in your community that need this, to spend the money and the time and the training to do this program, they're not gonna do it. It's just too much. It's too much. And some of these places only train once a month, or train twice a month, where we train every Wednesday night because we have such a vast amount of stuff that we cover. So it's a little easier for us than them. There isn't a lot of departments in Northwest Iowa that do it. I mean, you're looking at us, Sioux City, places like that. So the reason we do it again is what I said, is we have such a need here because we have a great industrial base. But with that great industrial base comes these extra hazards, whether it be chemicals or confined spaces or entrapments, that we have to provide this to keep our industry strong, to keep bringing in new industries. And I'll tell you, this is, I mean, I know Neil's here, I hate to mention economic development, but when a company or somebody's looking at a community to land in, if your city can offer these services compared to another city, that helps as well in the long run. I really believe that.
Okay, any other questions for,
What is it, 1,500 a hole? I mean, or 10 holes, or 12?
What we did was we did 50, and I used Fort Dodge, Cedar Rapids, Muscatine. They all have started these programs and brought in money to their fire services. So it's up to 10 spaces is $1,500, and then once you